Hi there, welcome back everybody. My name's Richard, it's great to have you here. Today we are going to be talking about finding the sweet spot for your lens. So it's something that I've wanted to know for a while. I've got my lens, I've got my camera, I've got a target. Let's find that sweet spot. Right, so the thing that I'm looking to do is to find which aperture is the sharpest. So I'm going to take some photos from 2.8 all the way up to f22 at varying intervals at this target that you can see here, and we are going to see which of those is the sharpest when we get them back into the computer. I've got a couple of lights set up here shining on the target. I wanted to make it brighter so that it's consistent throughout. I don't want to use any different ISOs or anything like that. The only change I'm going to make is to the shutter speed and the aperture. The ISO is going to stay at 100, which means I'm using my remote so that when I go to f22 I'm probably going to have to turn the shutter speed down, so I don't want to get any camera shake. I want it to be totally fair throughout the range. So first one we're going to do, I'm sorry if the volume goes on this, but I'm going to be turning to and from. So the first one we're going to do is f2.8. I am gonna put the exposure slightly up just so I know that I can see in the screen that it looks pretty good. So we're going to make sure every picture is exposed a stop over. So this is f.2, this is f2.8, ISO 100, shutter speed 60, and we are going to take that photo. There we go. We are then going to change the shutter. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do maybe about 6 or 8, but there's going to be sort of 3 key ones that we're going to look at, which I'll do first. I think is f2.8, which is at the widest aperture, f22, which is at the smallest, and somewhere in between, probably around f9, f10, because that's typically where most lenses are better. So we've done the f2.8, so we're now going to take the aperture all the way up to f22. Obviously we've got to adjust the shutter speed accordingly, so we're going to bring that down until the exposure dial is a stop over, so I know that they're the same exposure, and we're going to take that picture. You can see it's 1 second exposure time now, which is why I'm using the remote. I could use a 2-second timer, but I've got this, and we're going to hit the button. There we go. And finally we're going to do one in between, like I said, about f9. So let's take that back down to around f9, and again we're going to adjust the shutter speed so that we are exactly a stop over. There we go. And we are going to take that shot. So now we've got 3 photos. I'm quickly going to go through a few more ranges, maybe going from f5.6, f8, f12, just so on through, just so we can see if any of those are going to be better than the 3 that we've already taken. So I won't bore you while I do that. Let me get that done and then I will be right back with you. Okay, so jumper's gone, got a bit hot during all that. I had a problem with what I did is I linked up the camera to something called a cam link, which means it can record the screen. So there's going to be a few pictures of those going through here as well. So you'll see what I was seeing through the viewfinder, nothing exciting. But that's done. So we've got, I think we've got about 10 photos, I'm not sure, but we've taken f2.8 all the way through to f22 at various different apertures. We are focusing on this target, so I'm hoping that once we zoom in, it might be really bright there, So once we zoom in on all of the pictures that we've taken, we should be able to see which one is the lens's sweet spot. Now I'm going to take 3 more while I'm thinking about it, and it's going to be at, that was at 70mm. I'm going to do it again at 24mm, and just to try and compare those, but I'm only going to do 3. I'll do the f2.8, the f22 and the f9, and we'll see how those compare to the ones I've taken at 70mm. So I'm quickly going to do that, be back in a minute, and I'll see you in the computer. Okay, so we've done, very quickly just to recap, a few photos at 70mm through the all through the f range, all through the f-stop, 2.8 up to f22. We've done exactly, no we haven't, we've done 3 pictures at 24mm, which is f2.8, f22, so the 2 extremes, and we've done 1 in the middle, about an f9. And they are all in the computer. We're going to take a look and see which is the best. Okay, so we've got the photos into Lightroom, and I am going to show you 6 photos, 3 with 24 taken at 24mm and 3 at 70mm, and each of them is 2.8, so f2.8, f9 and f22. And we're going to look at each one of them now, and we're going to see which of the pictures that we've taken for both focal lengths are the sharpest. So looking first at the f2.8, we've got, I'm going to go into this view here where you can do a comparison view. So the left picture, the left hand side of the screen will be one picture, the right hand side of the screen will be the other one, and I've renamed the files easily using this video here. I've renamed the files so it includes the 2 points, so it includes the aperture. Have a look at that video and you'll see how you can do that. To pick up the aperture here, I'll show you very, very quickly that you choose exposure. And what exposure will do is it will put in the shutter speed and the f-stop. So have a quick look at that video that just came up. And when you're choosing your naming conventions, pick exposure if you want to rename the file with the aperture and shutter speed. So on the left-hand side, we are going to have the 2.8 photo. And on the right-hand side, we are going to have f22. Now, I haven't edited these. All I've done is line them up. Well, I can show you exactly what I've done. Let's pick one photo. So all I've done is, so there's nothing here. I've adjusted the white balance to get the picture white, just so it looks nicer to look at. And that's really all I've done. I think I've done some lens corrections. That, I believe, is all I've done. Anything else is kind of straight out of camera. I think I might have straightened them up a tiny bit, but there's been no brightness, no contrast, nothing like that. So this is just to keep them straight from the camera. So back to compare view. We have oh no, hold on a second. Let's go back to library. So library, compare view. On the left we have f2.8 and on the right we have f22. So we are going to zoom in on the circle. There is some purple fringe in here which might have something to do with the fact that it was slightly overexposed. But even with that, on the f2.8, you can see it is slightly clearer, slightly better than the f22. We are at 400% here, so just bear that in mind, 400%. You're never going to zoom in that far, really. This is really just to see which is the sharpest. So f22 on the right, a little bit fuzzy. f2.8 still a little bit fuzzy, but I think clearer than f22. So on the left hand side, let's bring in the f9, and that you can see is, I said at the start, I think that the most lenses have a sweet spot between somewhere between f8, f11, f12, you know, somewhere in that region, in the middle of the focal range. And that's proved to be the case here, because as you can see, the one on the left is it is markedly clearer than. I don't know if it'll get any better if we go into. I mean, we're at 800% now, so they both look pretty rubbish. But let's leave it at 400. So the one on the left, I think, is a lot better than the one on the right. There is a better definition between the lines, and than there is over here. It looks very soft over here, and also the colours around this, particularly this first big circle, is a lot more defined as well. At the top, we've got some writing, and you can see from these two that, I mean, we're really pixel peeping here. Don't forget, we're not. This is at 400%, so we are really zooming in and we're looking for problems, or we're looking for something to be wrong with one of them. And neither of them are particularly bad, but I think the one on the left just has better clarity. It's a bit sharper around the edges of the writing, and it's a bit sharper around the edges of the circle, particularly in the middle. So I think let's put on the right-hand side now. Let's pop back in f2.8. So we've now got 2.8 on the left and f9 on the right, and again f9 is a lot clearer than f2.8. So if I was to, I'm not going to go through every single focal range with you guys, but this is the three that I earmarked just for the purpose of showing you how to do this. So based on these things here, if depth of field wasn't important in the photograph I was taking, then I would try and get closer to f9 than I would f2.8 or f22, because I know based on what I've done here with the 1DX and the 24-70 lens that f9 is going to give me a better result. So that's at 70mm. So now let's bring up on the left hand side, we're going to bring up that's on the right hand side, so let's click in here. So we've got 2.8 on the left, and on the right, we've got f22. And again, no edits have been done on these. We're going to zoom in here. The one thing that I noticed on here, let's swap that around just so I've got 2.8 on the left and 22 on the right. So again, the thing I can see here on 24mm is there's not as much of a purple fringe or color cast as there was on the 2.8 at 70mm. But the 2.8 is clearer than the f22. Again, marginally, it's not horrendously bad, the f22, but the 2.8 is better. So that has got through the semi-finals. Let's match it up with f9 in the final, and again, straight away you can see that f9 is a far better. It's far clearer. So the point of this was to try and explain, to learn myself, to understand myself how this works, also to share with you guys the results and how you can easily find out which f-stop on your lens with your camera is best. Obviously, if you want to get that nice shallow depth of field and a nice creamy background and emphasize what's in the foreground, for example, then you're going to use f2.8. But if that's not as important for you and you're looking to maybe do a landscape and focus stack a few images and you want them all to be sharp, then maybe f9 is the way to go, because you know that whatever you're focusing on is going to be sharp. If you used f22, you may get more of your image in focus, but it's not going to be as sharp. It's better to take the shot at the sharpest aperture so that you know when you get those back into the computer that you're going to have the sharpest picture your lens could possibly give you, if depth of field isn't an issue. Like I say, if you want to make something pop in the foreground or the background and everything else to be blurred out naturally, not forced in post, then you're going to have to use f2.8 or a smaller f-stop. But if that isn't important, go with what's sharpest for your lens. I'm going to put a link to, in case it's useful, in case it saves anyone having to reproduce it, I will put a link to something similar here. I'll put it down below, so if you want to download that and stick it on your wall at home, you can, and it will just save you you can use anything. I mean, you could just use a poster or get your kid to write on the wall. Maybe that's not a good idea. put anything on the wall that's got some detail in it that you can see outside definition, and you can easily see when comparing which is going to be the clearer. So that is it. That is how I found the sweet spot of my lens and my camera. I hope that was useful for you. If it was, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'd love to see you back here at the next video. Until then, I hope you are all awesome. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.